Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
We are back, and this is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. I really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with Jeffrey Weissman, him talking about taking over the role of George McFly and how that came about. And then he talks about working with Clint Eastwood. But before we dive into the third film in a trilogy that I thought I saw a lot as a kid, but I guess after the second one, I turned it off. And of course, I'm talking about Back to the Future Part 3. But before I dive in, I have to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's nice to be back.
It is nice to be back to the future. Did they have a song from Huey Lewis in this movie?
No, they had.
Oh, it was ZZ Top.
ZZ Top. Well, they were in there. They were in the movie. That was them at the
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's them at the dance or whatever they had.
Yeah. So before I introduce this week's guest for our special episode, because this is 100. There's only a few things I've done in my life 100 times. And Mom, I did not go blind. But so Jamie, do you ever think we would get this far?
You stared at the sun for 100 times?
Yeah, 100 times.
Okay.
So do you ever think we would get to 100 episodes?
I didn't think we were gonna get past 10.
Okay. Well.
So this is exciting. This is we're getting better each time, and we're getting great actors and actresses and people behind the scenes and great guests.
Yeah, no, we're doing good, and I'm really excited to have this guy on because he is. I think he's the number one Back to the Future fan that I know. I would have to say that, and that's Tom Campanella. Tom, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. I don't feel like I'm worthy to be on your 100th episode. I am a big
that hat.
Well, I was going to say,
as nice as yours.
Hat, you're definitely worthy. I feel a little, I'm a little upset that I'm wearing, not that I'm wearing a Mets hat. I mean, I love the Mets, but I'm Italian. I don't know too many Italian cowboys, so I don't have a cowboy hat. So I got the scarf.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the scarf looks good. The scarf looks good. Yeah.
Well, I think you fit right in because if you think about, we'll get right into this movie, but if you think about it, the two main actors. One probably knows how to ride a horse. I don't know if Marty McFly ever rode a horse, but he was pretty good at it. I don't think he was nervous or anything.
I wrote that down that somehow he became a professional horseback rider, pretty quick, but he can't control a levitating, the skateboard, the hovercraft.
That is true.
So I think if you can handle that thing, because it's insane. And I don't think Doc's ever been on it before. And he did pretty well too the first time.
He went faster than an 80-mile-an-hour train on that thing.
He did.
Right? Yeah.
So what I did is I wanted to go back to watch the end of 2 to see how it led into 1 because they filmed both at the same time. And it was pretty wild. I don't remember how 2 ended, but it's like watching the end of 1. But so that's the one thing with this movie. I love them. I love these movies, but you look at a lot of the same things over and over again.
Yeah, and I did the same thing. I did watch the end because I haven't seen any of these movies in a long time. I do remember not liking this one compared to the first 2. I feel like the first 2 kind of piggybacked against each other, and I think it was a great fit. This one seemed like kind of like out there. Like it just seemed like they were reaching for a conclusion, I guess. But I did like how the movie started, that if you didn't go back on YouTube to watch the second one, they started right off with the end of the second movie to kind of, speed you up.
Yeah, that is true. And I just think about this kind of reminds me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Like for the third film, obviously it wasn't a planned trilogy like this one. They had to go somewhere. Like where else can they go? Because they were in 85, 55.
Naturally
85. Back to
1885. Yeah.
But where else could they have gone? They couldn't have gone 35 would have been pretty depressing. 45, the end of the war. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna jump right into it. My biggest concern now, and this raised a lot of questions for me for the whole series. The whole series is built on incest.
And the lack of incest.
But it started with incest because Marty meets his mom and dad, I guess his grandparents, but have the same last name as McFly, but it's his mom that he recognizes. So they only meet in what? In 55? What's the
55.
Okay. So they met in
55,
55, but somehow their lineage was married in the 1800s.
That is kind of weird.
Yeah, I have that written down too. Like I was like, that's the weirdest move that they could have made, but it's because Crispin Glover didn't want to come back for 2 and 3. But like, they could have got someone else.
No, but,
right?
but not even. But it's not even like the look. The same last name. They had McFly, right? It was McFly.
Yeah.
But it was the mom. I mean, the mom doesn't have the last name, so like.
Yeah, they could have had her just be like some rando in the town or something. Even
Right.
Jeffrey
That's what they should have
Weissman.
done.
Jeffrey Weissman, I'm surprised they didn't make him he wasn't a rando in the town. I was surprised that they didn't just throw him in the background.
Yeah, it was just weird. So it all started with incest. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So Doc Brown, we see 55. There's a lot of differences between 55 and 85 Doc Brown. And I know it's a 30-year difference. He doesn't age really too much, but he lives in a pretty ballin' house in 1955. In 85, he's living in like a shack, right? Next to Burger King.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole story to that though, right? Like that's why I love this movie, because like you look at that and you're like, oh wow, like what happened?
Yeah.
Right. And you see where he lives in 1985. There's a McDonald's, right? Is it McDonald's or Burger King?
One of those, yeah.
Yeah. So you assume that he sold his house except for his garage just to build this time machine, right?
Oh, dude, I didn't even think of that. So that's the same property.
Right. He sold his whole property.
Together.
You know what? I didn't think about that either. Oh, gee.
Yeah. Oh man, I watched this movie way too much as a kid. So.
I like it.
But you know what though? Well, I you did hit a point that he didn't age. No one ages, even when you go into past. Like, so when you meet up with them. Well, it's okay. So I'm now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movies in a long time. All right.
Okay.
So obviously, he's in 1955, the same exact Doc Brown who's in 1885, who left a note for the Doc Brown in 1955, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't age at all in 1955 then? Don't they catch up at a certain point?
He went back to he went to 2015 and went to a rejuvenation center, I remember. Yeah. So that's why he looks so good throughout the whole movie.
Gotcha.
He does look. But you got to think 1985 Doc Brown, he is a really good guy because in his wishes, he makes sure that Einstein gets taken care of.
Right.
Back in 85. So he does care, and he becomes a blacksmith. So there's like this whole thing, but they're two different people. If you see what they care about and what they worry about, because 85 Doc Brown, he seems like he's just like, he falls in love really quick. And that whole storyline made back in 1885.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Like almost too quick, because the thing that blew my mind, I know that we're like skipping ahead a little bit, but so Mary Steenburgen, Clara, so she was supposed to die.
Right.
Okay, right? She was supposed to go into the ravine. The ravine was named after her, and then everything changed.
Right. I think I have what you're going to say written down, but go ahead.
But doesn't this not make sense? Yeah. So on the tombstone, why was his tombstone in 55? Right?
Exactly. Dude, I have it written down. Why?
Like Bob Gale, Robert Zemeckis, come on, get it together, man.
That's the biggest flaw in this movie, I think. Why would it say what did it say? I can't remember. Like
it said like my dear love Clara or something, like left behind his dear love Clara.
But he would have never met her. He would have never met her
at that time. Yeah.
That I was like, oh my god.
Because when he went to save her and he saved her, and it was like the first time he ever saw her, then I was like, wait, then why the hell? Then I was just like, holy shit, what just happened? Because that makes no sense at all. That's a big
he's like, oh,
mistake.
Clara.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you have three movies of jumping back and forth in time, the whole time loop thing is going to get confusing at some point, even for the writers. I think they, I think at a certain point they're going to be like, all right, let's just throw it in. Maybe people won't even notice.
Yeah.
No, not we noticed, Bob Gale. No, but you got to think about it because they filmed them back to back. I just think that's such a big thing. So since you know the movie so well, Tom, did they do any of the joke? One of my favorite jokes in these movies is Twin Pines Mall turning into Lone Pine Mall.
Right.
When he hits it in the beginning of the first movie, he like runs into it or
right.
They have it. I guess they can't have a joker like that, right? Because they can't say no Pines Mall. We do see the clock tower.
Yeah, you see the clock tower. You see them.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't think that there was that joke. My favorite joke in the movie, and again, jumping ahead,
Yeah.
is when they swap. When Marty says, "Great Scott," and then Doc says, "That's heavy," and that's probably my favorite one.
You know,
Yeah.
I have a question. What is Great Scott?
You know
Does
what?
anyone know where it comes from?
idea.
Like what?
I'm guessing there's a very famous scientist that's Scott, or maybe he's Scottish, or he drinks Scotch.
Scotch. Okay. I wrote that down like right away because he says it right away, and you know, I was just curious. I never heard. You know, I don't know anyone's ever used it before except for Doc Brown.
Yeah, and we got to talk about them leaving the DeLorean where they left it. That just, come on. I was just looking through a little like cabinet that we have. We moved in this house like a year ago. There's cobwebs all over this book. And you're telling me that thing sat for 70 years in the tunnels and it looks fairly good.
Well, it had a cover on it.
Oh,
Yeah, but like no one walked down there and was like, "Ooh, ELB." Like, what's behind this piece of wood? No.
it does take him a second to realize that's his initials because he looks at it.
It does.
And then
It does.
He's like, "Oh shit, I did that. That's me."
Yeah.
But he really didn't do it, I guess, so he wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And then there was a Made in Japan diss because he had something. Marty had some. I forgot what he had. It was something off the DeLorean, I think. And he looked at it, and Doc Brown was like,
Time
"Made in
circuit.
Japan." Yeah, and he was like laughing at it.
Yeah.
Everything comes. No, nothing's made in Japan anymore. It's all made in China, right?
Well, I mean, still good stuff that I think is still made in Japan, right?
Sushi.
Sushi's great.
And I love that 55 Doc wants, he's very selfish because his most important thing is he wants to be in history books as he talks about that. And then another confusing thing, I know the smell would be the same, but Copernicus crying at 85 Doc Brown's grave, that was kind of weird too. Like, I guess the smells would be the same, but that was just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, but he was there for 100 years? No, 70 years,
70
right?
years.
70 years. So would it still smell?
I don't think so.
Probably
I think it's just
not.
Dust,
Yeah.
bones.
You know, I want to go back to something you said before that Doc Brown falls in love pretty easy. In 3 movies, his best friend and only friend is a high school kid. So, you know, when a woman is, you know, looking at him, you know, for the first time, because you never see him talk to a woman ever.
No.
So, I mean, I can understand why he fell in love pretty quick.
Yeah, that is true. He's like,
Because
oh,
you can raise questions raised. And how can, first of all, how can a parent let a child hang out with an old man, because he is kind of old, you know, all the time?
bad parents. You know, they're too worried about, you know, look at who they were in the first movie. They were really
terrible.
where they're at right now. The time really hasn't moved, right? Since the first film. 85, it's
No. That's the new parents.
That's the new parents
at that point.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Very progressive.
Very progressive, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so-
he yells at Biff. Biff's waxes
Yeah.
the car. Oh,
Yeah,
that's true.
So
And then
here's a big question I have. So Marty reads in a paper that Doc Brown, how does he know that Doc Brown dies? Was it a paper? Like, it was a letter. It was a letter, right?
It was in the letter, and no, the letter didn't say that he died yet. They
Okay.
saw it on the tombstone that we just talked about.
Okay. So, but he's standing right in front of him. So why does he feel the need to go back to save Doc Brown if Doc Brown's in front of him?
No, that was 55 Doc. They're two different Docs.
No,
Exactly.
I know that, but he doesn't really die. Like he wants to go back and save Doc in 1885,
Right.
but he's standing right in front of Doc right now.
That's not his Doc.
But that's Doc in the past. That's the Doc.
But
in
it's
the past.
still Doc Brown. I mean, it's whether he's in the past or future, it's still Doc Brown. So he's-
Theoretically, let's say Marty goes,
yeah.
all right, Doc, you're going to die this day.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, just stay inside.
Yeah, that's it.
And
And but the day already happened 70 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're-
what's the
well, no, it didn't, though. Right? Not for that Doc. Not for the Doc that he would said.
Well,
oh,
Right?
that is true.
okay.
Right.
He could have told him, like, hey, don't go back to 85, right? Yeah.
Well,
So according,
he had no
according
choice
to
at
this
that point.
movie, there's 3 Doc Browns running around.
Technically, there's one Doc Brown running around. It's
Well,
just
that's my point then. So so you don't need to save the one in 1885, but you already have the 1955 Doc Brown.
I think you just blew my mind with that, right? Because like I don't think I've ever thought of that. I really never thought of that. He could have just been like, don't just
Don't do anything.
Yeah.
You're right here. I think it's when you make 3 movies about going back and forth in the future, you're gonna have a lot of things like that pop up.
Yeah.
You just got to go with the flow.
I mean, at that point, you could just tell him not to build a time machine, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. Done.
Yeah.
No movies.
Or there's all these Doc Browns are like clones. It is, it's almost like they're all clones.
Yeah.
It's like horror movies, like the ones that nowadays that are set. It's like they have to knock the cell phone towers out, because if not, it'd be like roll credits. It's like Blair Witch. It's like we're lost in the woods. It's like, oh no, I'll just call an Uber. And it's like end scene.
Well,
Exactly.
let me ask you this, because I don't remember the other movies. At any point, does Marty McFly see himself, or does Doc Brown ever does anyone ever see themselves
No.
past the future?
Doc sees himself.
Yeah, so does Marty. Marty has to avoid himself in 55 now.
Oh, he does. Okay, so
He does see himself, and then Jennifer sees herself also.
okay, all right.
And passes out.
I forgot about
And then
that.
becomes
Okay.
a new Jennifer.
I'm young. I'm old. That thing.
All right.
God. So then on the tombstone, we didn't mention this before. It says shot in the back by Buford Mad Dog Tannen.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marty uses the word Chinaman.
He does.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they figure out like, hey, we got the time machine. We're going to go back. I know that place is pretty rad where they were at. And that was 55 in, what's the name of the city again where they live?
Hill
Valley.
Hill Valley.
So that was Hill Valley. That was pretty cool, like auditorium kind of, like drive-in movie theater in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But
I guess they were around.
But in all honesty, like how far away was that, right? Because there was like those big mountains in the
It looked
background,
like
right?
Arizona. It looked like the Arches and like Utah.
So it was like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the movies. We got to go 3 hours to get to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then he tells me he has to get dressed up, and I guess there was like some kind of like place to buy clothes there. And what did he do? Like raid Bill Nye's wardrobe, or he was wearing?
He looked like the kid, the cowboy kid in Willy Wonka.
There was a neutron on his back, like
Mike TV, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How was that?
What I don't get, and I'm trying to think about it because I was trying to think about it when I was watching it. I don't think Doc would have been that stupid to give him clothes like that, right? Because
55 Doc was not smart, I guess. Maybe he wasn't.
I guess
that smart
not.
until he fell. Maybe that's changed everything. So he didn't fall yet. So maybe he fell and then knocked in, like, maybe something was loose back there. And
because in the second movie or the first movie, he had the money from like all the time periods. He opened up the suitcase.
Oh yeah.
So like he couldn't have been that stupid to be like, you put this clothes on. That's exactly what you should be wearing in 1885.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like Pee Wee Herman.
So then he like gets set up to go. He says hi-oh silver. Then he guns it, and it was pretty cool. I always love those shots of like him talking about the Indians. I'm going to run into Indians. Yeah. And then as soon as he goes through and he goes back in time, that was pretty cool. The way it just switched over to him getting chased.
No, that was very cool, except the fact that not one Indian noticed the car driving by. He was driving in the middle of the pack of Indians, and not one Indian stopped.
Oh, yeah. But they were accurate because one of them hit it.
Right.
Started leaking.
He didn't even care. He was like, I don't care what that is. I'm going to hit that.
Yeah. He really didn't care at all. And then a bear came out of nowhere, which I know bears can live in many places, but I don't know if they choose there.
The desert, I think, is like the worst place for a bear.
It is, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a desert.
Water. There's not a lot of water, and he just comes out of nowhere. And that, or he just had to remember where that was.
They could have picked like 20 different animals to come, like a jaguar, right? I feel like a jaguar or a panther or something like that. A bear.
Maybe the panther guy was busy. Hey, you got the panther?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Spielberg. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Joe Exotic was busy.
Yes. So then Marty falls, and then we get the same kind of. Oh no, he gets woken up. He falls there and gets woken up by Seamus, right?
Right.
Seamus, yep.
So Seamus wakes him up, And then they do the same exact scene from the first one and the second one, right?
Right.
The whole like passed out thing. And,
Yeah.
And he thinks he sees his mother, who's already married to a McFly.
which is weird.
Right.
See?
Yeah. Okay. Now I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's weird.
See what I'm saying? So because they don't meet until 1955, and they're separate last names, separate people, but somehow they're related back then.
Yeah, they could have made her like Grandma Baines. And
Right.
he could have just saw her for like a second or something,
Right,
you know?
right.
Like,
Right.
why'd they have to be married?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not my favorite choice.
It's so weird. I love the name he uses. So in the first one, he's Calvin Klein. Does he have a name in the second one or no?
The
fake
second
name?
one.
I guess not. He doesn't have to have a fake name in the second one. This one, Clint Eastwood, he goes with.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood.
Which I like. That was pretty good. And the water. How about the water when he's sitting at the table? They're like, "Oh, do you want some water?" And it looked like whiskey. It looked like misty brown, dirty water.
Yeah, dirt, water. Yeah.
Ugh. God.
You'd think at this point, like he'd be ready for anything, right? Like it just seems like he's always surprised. Dude,
that is true.
You traveled in a time machine to get
multiple
there.
times.
Yeah.
It is crazy. I know he's like he isn't aging from 85. Obviously, he looks like he got older because it's like 5 years later from the first movie. Right. But he really hasn't like in time progression. And what is it? The next day from the first movie?
No, like from the first movie, it's probably like 2 weeks away.
Oh, it is 2 weeks
like,
after? Okay.
Yeah. He's in 1885 for 5 days. I think he's in.
But present day doesn't change. He keeps going back to the same day, right?
Yeah, but for him, it feels like probably like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, like a month. He's gone for a month, probably. Yeah.
God, and he's not learning.
My mind's already again going back and forth.
It makes my brain hurt.
It hurts. It actually hurts.
Maybe that's why there haven't been any other time travel movies that are like a trill. It's like so hard to keep track of this.
It's easy for one movie. When you start doing multiple movies, it's very difficult, I think, to keep track.
Yeah. Yeah. Avengers fixed the Back to the Future thing. They were like, yeah, no, that doesn't happen. So
and then his great grandpa, he gets to meet his great grandpa. And that was kind of weird too, because they were in earshot of him and he's saying, "You must be my great grandpa." And I'm like, when these freaks be like, "Get out of my house, get away from my kid," and the kid pees on him.
And it's a pretty, it's a newborn, it's a baby, young baby. You just met this weirdo on the street. So you're gonna let them hold your child?
Right.
Well, this happens in a lot of the movies that we cover. We saw in our first film that we covered, Son of the Mask, the Jamie Kennedy lets the UPS guy pick up the baby, which is bizarre.
Well, most movies, like they always just hand babies over to like random,
And we watch TV, we learn growing up, and look, that's why people give away their babies. It's like, oh, you can hold my baby.
Exactly.
Why'd you let your baby get stolen? Sir, I saw Lucas talking as a kid. And he just lets him drive a taxi. Why can't my kid drive a taxi?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So then Hill Valley, I do like at least they had one of the continuing because I like the mall one with the trees. But the clock tower is cool. Do you see that building?
No, when he walks in there and he sees that, I think that was a cool scene.
Oh, that was powerful. The way they built that set, that was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Built it in the middle of nowhere, wherever they filmed it.
Yeah.
Right. Did you know that the set for Back to the Future is the same set for Gremlins?
No, I didn't. But now that you say that, it kind of looks like
it. When the next time you watch Gremlins, look, it's the same set.
Wow, oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I think it was in a couple movies.
I'm sure they recycle, and back then they probably recycled all the time.
No, that's pretty cool. I got to check that out. So then Marty walks into a bar, and they all just start making fun of him.
The one guy's voice sounds like.
Oh, dude, no, I didn't look it up. He is a famous cartoon.
He is. He's the guy in all those cartoons. Yeah,
he sounds like he would be like not Deputy Dog, but one of those things.
He was in. I think he was in Disney's Robin Hood. I think he was like.
Oh yeah.
He was right.
Wow.
You can't. His voice is so unique, like but it's a typical Western. Like you hear it all the time.
It was weird to see that voice come out of an actual man.
Yeah,
it was bizarre. Yeah. And then another Asian joke. Must have got the shirt off a dead Chinese. I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
What? what is happening? And then why? So then he asked for what he asked for, ice water.
He asked for water.
Yeah.
And they all started laughing at him. And then he gave him whiskey. It was it on fire?
No. I don't think so. Was it on fire?
I don't know. Why was the whiskey on fire?
I don't think it was. but why would he ask for water after seeing what the water looked like at the other house?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know why he even asked for water.
Yeah.
He doesn't learn, man. I think Tom covered it. He's not learning in all of these instances.
Never.
And then we see Biff, Buford come into the bar.
By the way, this is my favorite of all the Biffs. I think
really?
I like him. I think he was funny. I think this is the best Biff in all three movies.
Yeah, I would say that the first one, I didn't like him younger in the second. Oh, old Biff? Wait, no. The best Biff is the 85 Biff in the other one when he has the gun and he's like a really I don't know why.
No,
it's funny.
I really like the one who's like always waxing the car. That's my favorite Biff.
You like bitch Biff?
Yeah, bitch Biff. Yeah. But the Buford has probably the best line of all three movies.
Oh, what is it?
He calls Marty a duded up egg sucking gutter trash.
He says dude a lot. He says dude a lot.
You dude. Yeah.
Oh my God. Dude.
So again, I guess they're all part of the same family. So they're just douches from the beginning.
From the get-go.
Right. So there isn't one nice Biff. They're all like the whole family is just a bunch of douches.
Well, and the thing that's most confusing was the fact that he is on the gravestone and all the one-in posters when like Marty does do research because it says Mad Dog when he's at 55. But when he says Mad Dog, everybody, it's like the record stopped and they stare at him.
Yeah.
And he gets so pissed off. I'm like, he is a bad guy. What's wrong with Mad Dog? It would be if his name was Francis. And maybe if you called him Francis.
Don't call me Francis.
Yeah. Like if it was something like that, then I would get it. But it's a pretty cool nickname, you know?
Now, let me ask you, his cronies, are they the same cronies in all the movies?
No.
None of them?
His cronies kind of like change throughout the movies.
Because that would be weird also.
Billy Zane is like original OG with 3D, 3D glasses guy. And then he's not in the second one because he has like the Bojo guy. Remember that guy?
Yep.
Yeah. And then
what's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan? Not Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey, the guy from Nightmare 5.
What's his name?
Jeffrey something.
Yeah.
I was trying to interview him and I had his cell phone number and he never answered me.
Yeah.
But no, he was in, I think he was in 1 and 2, maybe 2. I forget.
I don't know what he looks like. I'm sure
short guy.
I don't know.
but no, it was weird. Why would they swap them out? You have the same. Like Jamie said. You have the McFly. You see the same couple. All. See,
I think that would have been funny if they had the same crew each movie.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Throw a cowboy hat on Billy Zane, man. Come on.
And I mean, they brought Billy Zane back for the second one, so I don't understand why they wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would be unreasonable.
Yeah.
Right.
But then Marty does bust out the moonwalk. He's getting shot. Why do people ever do that? Why was that ever a thing? Bullets had to cost something back then, right? And it's not like people had a ton of money, and I don't know if bullets were.
What was it a thing?
Yeah. Well, in movies, it's a thing.
Well, I've only seen it in like modern day. Like, wasn't it like Chris Tucker movie or something like that? Was it one of those or like? Well, no,
I've seen other movies that they shoot at the feet
in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like an old West.
Oh, really?
Thing. Like to make them like it's like flinching, like.
So what kind of dance? what kind of dancing like are you supposed to do?
I had like the tippy toes, kind of like like it's like a trope. It's a trope in movies.
But he busted out the moonwalk.
Yeah, and he was also.
He did
while he was doing it.
And then Marty
he was having fun doing it.
Oh, I know. He loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. He did look like he was having fun.
Yeah. He was like almost doing it when he was done shooting. And then after that, they're going to string him up and kill him on the clock tower.
Right.
Good old Doc Brown comes out.
Luckily.
Where did that come from? So he can ride horses and he's
and he made a sniper. He's a sniper now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. And he's only lived there what did he say? 8 months, I think he said, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So 8 months he's been there, and he's already like on the lingo. He's loved by everyone. 8 months.
He's there 8 months. He found enough resources to build a machine to make ice.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Where did he get the barn? Do they like? I was wondering, like, if a new guy comes in town, right, Hill Valley, they just give you a barn and like say you're the blacksmith now. I just don't understand.
And how do you learn to be a blacksmith? I mean, I can't imagine you. It's an easy job.
I couldn't imagine it is.
Maybe it'd be great to see a twisted side. Obviously, we know that Doc Brown, he's hanging out with high school kids. What about the twisted side? Is he murdered the blacksmith, took his identity.
Wow. Yeah,
You know what?
that could work. That could work.
Back to the Future 4.
Come on, Zemeckis, get on it. See, you'd added that and took out the whole mistake on the tombstone.
Listen, if he can build a sniper rifle, I'm sure he's got some killer instinct in him.
Maybe it's like Face Off. Well, the other guy didn't look like him, but
So you're saying maybe Biff is Doc Brown and Doc Brown's Biff?
yeah. No, but wouldn't that be great if the guy looked like him? They were like, he has like I guess they didn't have ID back then, but that would have been really funny. And it's like, oh, who's the guy that used to live here? And he knocks like a photo off the wall and it looked just like Doc. Or maybe it's his relative.
I feel that Doc Brown does not fit in there at all. He stands out so bad with the hair. He kind of acts like a Muppet in this movie. Like he's always just like he is a Muppet. He's like a Muppet.
You know what though? Now that you say that, you're right. He does stick out like a sore thumb. But
100%.
But maybe it's to play contrast between the other two movies, right? Because Marty stuck out like a sore thumb in 1955.
Oh yeah.
Right? And that's why this movie's great. I love this movie. I love these movies. They're the best.
Well, maybe that's why, a pretty woman also falls in love with him right away, because I can't imagine. I mean, when they're up close and you see Doc Brown's face, I mean, let's be real,
Hey,
boner alert.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd is a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh,
Women would love him.
Professor Plum. Oh, that guy was we found out from that movie, he was banging all his patients. That's what his storyline in that movie was. He was banging all his patients.
What movie was that?
In Clue. He was banging all the patients.
Oh, yeah.
He was basically like probably using their things against them. It was kind of creepy, actually.
He comes across creepy in a lot of movies. I don't think he means to, but he's hanging out with a high schooler his whole life.
Yeah.
And he was pissed, like a lot of these movies. He's always pissed when anything is screwing up the content. And he doesn't want Marty to be in harm's way, because he was kind of pissed to see him. And then he was like shocked when he was like, "You're going to die in a few days."
So this is the original Doc Brown. This is 1985 Doc Brown.
This is
he knows everything. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's easy that they did in 1885, so we don't have to say 3 years. So we just say 85 and 55. No, but isn't that like kind of like, so he's pissed. And again, you don't think Doc Brown kind of sucks? Like he gets saved a lot, right? That was the first time he saved Marty, right?
Oh no.
I think that was the first time he saved him, right?
Well, no. Yeah. Marty saved him. We were talking about the first movie?
That's what I mean. Marty saves him a bunch, but not the opposite.
No. He only helps Marty get home. That's it. But Marty's helping him every single movie.
Yeah.
He also saved him when he was on the roof with alternate universe 1985 Biff. Remember, he jumps off and he lands on the DeLorean.
Oh, yeah, that's
there. Yeah, but I agree. Doc is like really weird. I don't want to jump ahead, but
you can.
He like basically drops a line and tells Marty he's gonna die, or he's like, oh, when you get into that accident in 1955, that's why you're like this.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He's terrible. I feel like he's kind of terrible in this movie. He only cares about Clara.
Well, how quickly does he drop Marty the second he meets her? He almost forgets about Marty. Yeah. Like the whole plan is to go home and everything else. He totally leaves.
Right.
And not for nothing, he's kind of douchey to Clara the way he just leaves her.
Yeah.
He really is.
And then kind of lets her risk her life. Which would you get?
You know what? Doc Brown's the real villain here.
God, that's amazing. Oh my God. So then they go find the time machine in where he hit it, where the bear cave was, and they hook it up to a bunch of like Budweiser Clydesdales, and they're trying to get it up, and they don't even get. I don't even know what speed they got up to. There's no way it could have been even close.
I think it was
and
like
not one person. Now I had a question. How did they bring that car there and not one person saw it?
Yeah,
not one person
during the day.
During the day,
not even at night. Yeah.
Where are the Indians then? Where are the Native Americans then? Where's the bear? This whole time.
Exactly.
That is, how can this happen? How can they even mess up? It makes no sense at all. And there's no gas then. So they're just using that booze that people are drinking.
Yeah, they're using whiskey.
Right.
He thought whiskey was going to make it work.
It was their strongest stuff. That's what he said.
For some reason, they thought that. And then Doc and Marty, they go ask a train conductor how fast the trains could push. And he says the guy the fastest it's gone is 70.
Yeah.
So,
and then he gives them the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
But back then, did they really know how fast these things went?
Maybe they had a gauge. I don't know.
I wouldn't think they would have one. I mean,
that's a great question. Yeah.
Even like days and stuff. Obviously, they know the sun and the. It's not even that long ago. It's so funny. We're talking like it's like 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
How long did they get there? 3 moons ago. 3 moons.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this is like we're only at the part that we first see Mary Steenburgen. So the first time we see her, runaway wagon. And again, we talked about this. I'll mention it again. She is supposed to die. So there's no way her name could be on the tombstone. And then he saves her, and then they fall in love right away.
And that's when you see Marty on the horse for the first time, which was amazing because he was like, yeah, perfect.
He was Daniel Day-Lewis in Last of the Roses. Unbelievable, man. And then he falls in love, and then he starts talking about Clara Clayton, Marty, because he said, "Oh, that's the ravine that we used to tell the because she was a teacher,
right?
We wish all of our teachers would fallen,
right?"
And changes,
and Doc's surprised,
something which we didn't see. Why did they do that at the? I'm not going to skip to the end fully, but why didn't that change anything then?
So there you go. There's your Twin Pines Mall.
Yeah, I guess that's
Lone Pines Mall.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Not
the best.
It'd be great maybe if Marty like Planet 3. Something.
Right.
Do something. Give me
replanted the pine that they knocked down in the second one.
Yeah, he makes up for his mistake.
Right.
So then Clara shows up randomly. She goes into the garage. Now she has to nobody worked on things back in 1885 that they needed to cover up probably.
Right.
So wouldn't she be like a little bit like, hey, what's going on under there? Because you'd have to be so curious.
She was so in love with Doc Brown that she was distracted.
That she didn't care. And she didn't even care.
She didn't care.
I feel like she did say something though, didn't she?
She made it seem like I think that I wrote down you think she thought they were messing around because the way they got really nervous, maybe she thought she walked in on them. Because they got really awkward and almost hey, maybe they were just I don't know.
And maybe back then that was okay. That was an okay thing behind closed doors.
85 Hill Valley was so revolutionary.
Were there any other women in town?
Was there any other women?
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. I wrote that down. There's no other
Maggie
girls
McFly. Maggie McFly.
Maggie McFly.
Yeah.
Well, besides Maggie, I don't remember seeing any other women really.
Oh, wasn't there the old hussies back in the day? Didn't they show them in the bar at all upstairs? The red room? Did
you just say old hussies?
Old hussies. Yeah.
Well, you have the mustache and hat. You got to say old hussies?
I have to. And then I wrote, Doc cares more about pussy than avoiding being shot in the back. Because Marty basically said, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot you in the back. And then we kind of skipped over it, but he said that. Hey, you owe me $20. And he's like, oh, I don't owe you $20. And then we know, hey, we know what's going to happen. But he's like, I don't care. I got this girl now.
Has there ever been a backstory on Doc Brown? Was he ever married or did they ever touch that? No.
No.
All right. No, so maybe he was a virgin all this time.
I don't think anybody touched him.
Yeah.
And how old do you think the difference is between the two? So remember, this is 85 Doc Brown. All right, let's do that. 55 Doc Brown. How old do you think he is?
He looked 50 and 55.
So I know.
So like
that's
maybe
what-
he was 70 in 85.
Wait, hold on. Wait. You said he looks 50 and 50. I'm almost 50.
So this is different. This is before vitamins.
This is a different time. Exactly.
I understand. Well, I'm not almost 50, but I'm just saying though. I feel like he's looked like he's in his 70s in all three movies. He looks like an old man in all three movies.
It's his white hair.
It is the white hair.
Yeah,
100%. But his zaniness also. So you add that to the white. He's like a crazy old man.
Exactly.
How old do you think Mary Steenburgen is?
Ooh, good
You know what's funny? They're probably the same age. Because isn't she married to Ted Danson?
Yeah, they got married right around this time. I
Right.
think.
So I bet you about this. Maybe he might be a little older, but I mean they're probably close.
yeah,
Do you know the answer or no?
exactly how old she is?
Yeah.
No, I know her first movie. She was like 20. I watched an interview. She like was working at a diner in New York City, and it was the first movie she did was a Jack Nicholson movie, and he was the
Going
producer.
south. Going
Yeah.
south.
So he was the producer, and she was like, "Oh my god, I just did this thing with Jack Nicholson," and then she was like working at this friggin' diner in New York.
Yeah.
And got the phone call, and some guy said, "Hey, it's so and so," and she never did it again. Yeah, it was like one of those IMDb behind the scenes.
Okay,
Wow.
so Doc Brown was born 1938.
Jesus.
Okay.
Mary 1953.
Wow, Doc Brown's that old?
Yeah.
Wait, like real life Doc Brown?
Real life. Yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
He's 82 right now?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow, he looks pretty good because I just saw
He really
him on
does.
that Reunited Apart. He didn't look
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So they were what, like almost 20 years, 15 years difference.
Go Doc Brown.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's just insane how and then they go to a festival. So like, just think of how small where did people live? That town was really small. It was like one little line.
One
And
strip.
I know like Seamus McFly, he lived off the grid from there pretty much.
Yeah.
But there was no girls. There was
That's-
no
that's-
girls in that
there were-
town.
Oh no, there was girls. They were dancing. They
Oh,
were
they were?
dancing with
Okay.
girls. Yeah. But they
I was
didn't like.
just thinking,
They were like 3.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like 2, 3.
there was more in there was like a lot of men in that bar. and
Yes.
for 3 girls. So that must have been like a weird.
And
Right.
The one guy, was it the guy from Blazing Saddles?
Which one?
The one that after the guy, was it the guy with the gun with the revolver that was asking him to shoot?
Oh,
The one that he's the
it kind of looked like him. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. When he says, "Hey,
It
you
might-
want to try out this new?"
yeah. I think it's the guy in the beginning of the Blazing Saddles guy that was
Right.
It kind of looks like him. And then he shoots, and he's like, "Where'd
Yeah.
you learn how to shoot?"
You think
7-Eleven.
You think it's
7-Eleven.
I don't know. It looks like him. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I think it is him. All right.
And the principals in this movie, that was
Yeah.
cool. That he was
He-
the marshal on the outside.
He actually looked pretty cool. You know, I didn't realize who he was at first, and then I looked at him. He reminded me of like a Sam Elliott kind of like
Yeah.
Tombstone-ish kind of look, and he played a badass.
I have a problem with that scene though.
Oh,
I really
okay.
do. Why is it that Strickland? I think it's
Strickland, yeah.
Strickland's great grandfather. I guess that's him with the long hair, right?
Yeah.
He has his kid with him, and like, why would his kid be with him? He's like trying to hold up Buchanan, right? Or
Yeah.
Buchanan, and his kid's with him. Like,
It's
I
bad
just had
parenting.
terrible parenting.
But I think we
but-
learned that. I think
Well, I
there's-
said that seems to be a theme in the series.
yeah, there is
Right.
a lot of bad parenting.
Terrible parenting. Yeah. It
The one
echoes
guy's
through
okay with
generations.
Grandpa Baines is okay with a guy peeping because he knew that George McFly was peeping. Like he knew.
Yeah.
Like a kid just doesn't fall
Yeah.
out of a tree.
Right.
Totally fine with it.
Right.
You could date my daughter, the guy that's been peeping on my daughter.
In a tree outside my house.
So now, is that kid the principal in 55?
I would assume that's his grandfather,
Yeah, his grandfather.
right?
The
Right.
kid's the principal's grandfather?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, but how old was the principal in 55? He was kind of old, wasn't he?
Oh,
Yeah,
an
he-
8?
That's 100 years. So
No, not 85, 55.
No,
Like the
but he's in
principal-
55 and 85. Strickland works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd only be what, 70 or 80? I guess 80. Yeah, he'd be too old.
right. So maybe that's his son. That's his father.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a time loop again.
See, we should
Yeah.
be Bob Gale Roberts again. We should be just watching the movie, enjoying it. We're worrying about these characters and the ages because I don't think it makes sense. They said
Well,
that.
just
Did they say it was his great grandfather?
No, I'm just
no, they didn't say
assuming.
anything.
Oh, okay.
I'm just assuming. Yeah.
It would have been great if you saw Marty and said like one of those lines, like what do you call him in the other ones? Slacker. It'd be great if you called him a slacker.
Yeah.
Guess that probably didn't mean anything in 1880.
No.
You know, we never mentioned that Marty's going around calling himself Clint Eastwood.
Oh yeah, I do like that.
I guess-
That was great that
Yeah.
he was using that. And he was like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what happens right after the scene. But so Mad Dog shows up and it was going to be like a couple days early that he was going to shoot him in the back. And Marty,
Right.
what did Marty use as a frisbee?
Frisbee. The
Frisbee.
pie dish.
The
Yeah.
pie dish.
Well, because didn't it say Frisbee on it?
Right.
It said frisbee.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the original Frisbee was made from a pie dish. That's
in
I think that's
1885?
I think they were trying to like tie in real Frisbees with where they came from.
Or sponsorship dollars.
Maybe.
Whammo, we have a big opportunity for you. We need 50 grand.
Yeah. Miss Whammo was making all the pies.
Miss Whammo.
Yeah.
So then so in this one, it wasn't chicken. It was you yellow. And then I think
Yellow.
a yellow turd. That was in one of the disses in one of the lines.
Yeah.
Yo,
yeah.
yellow turd, just to do. Just
But
to
Marty
get
gets
your
that
shit.
mad being called yellow.
I guess.
Like he was pissed.
What does that even mean, yellow? Like, honestly, if you think about it, yellow is like sick.
Well, yellow. I don't know if it is a slang for a certain
Oh, I
nationality.
know. I hope it's
Right.
not that.
So I don't know. I don't.
That
And
theme, guys.
well, considering they had two other
No,
jokes.
I know that's what I mean. I hope it's not that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
I don't think so. I always thought maybe like yellow was associated with like femininity or something like that.
Or maybe yellow meaning you're pissing yourself.
Oh,
maybe.
Urine's not manly.
If peeing yourself is cool.
If you're R. Kelly, then yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. So Mad Dog wants to kill Marty after that and then challenges him to a duel. And the fact that this is what makes no sense. There's no proof. Obviously, the one guy saw him shooting the gun and saying, "Hey, I learned this at 7-Eleven." But
Right.
everyone else is like so happy that what is it? Somebody's challenging, because it seems like Mad Dog probably has been challenged before. He's probably killed before, but they think this guy from out of town, they don't know yet. They love.
By the way, I looked up yellow,
Okay.
and it says the word originally applied to birds that literally have a yellow belly.
Oh.
So if you're yellow bellied, you're supposed to be like yellow bellied.
What's wrong with being a bird?
Yeah.
Hey, if there's
sounds
any
sweet.
birds that somehow are listening to this, man, we're on your side. Jesus. And then
But I like
how about Doc Brown, dude? A love scene. Doc Brown, like,
it was kind of
maybe that
gross.
was in his
but
contract. He's like, if I'm doing a third film, I got to get some on camera, because I don't think he's ever gotten any on camera in any movie.
no, but I thought it was kind of gross.
Why, you like that?
He looked like a grandfather at that point. Like when you don't see her face and you just see him,
Right.
it was gross. I did. But when they were setting up, I don't know if this happened already. When Biff was setting up the shootout, he goes, like, we finish this now. We have plans later, or something like. Was that? Is that what he said? We have to finish this now, and then they were trying to go on his schedule when they can do.
Mad Dog?
Oh yeah.
Mad
'cause
Dog.
Yeah.
the train schedule. Yeah. So he was like trying to remember when the train was going to come, and then he was
No,
like,
not Marty. I'm talking about Biff though, because then he went to his cronies and they're like,
Yeah.
no, you can't do Saturday. We have to do.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
They were gonna, So they were like, Biff was like, tomorrow we're gonna duel tomorrow, or
Yeah.
whatever it's called. What do they call that when they shoot?
Duel,
right?
Duel.
Shootout.
Yeah.
And then they were like, his cronies were like, oh no, we're robbing the Pine City Mall. He's like, oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
Pine City Mall, they did it. Oh, but it's called Pine City Mall.
Wait,
Right.
They said that.
They
There's a mall?
did.
Was malls? in
Wait.
85?
Yeah, I'm almost positive they said the Pine City
Or
Mall.
did you say bank?
No.
Bank. Wasn't it a bank?
Or the theater. Maybe it was the theater, Pine City Theater.
Okay.
Pine City Theater. But either way, and then he was like, "Oh, okay. So what about the day after?" And they're like, "Okay, yeah."
And then he does his killings before breakfast.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but Marty does it after.
Oh yeah, that's what he says. I like
Yeah.
to do it after. Everybody's like, "Yeah, this guy's awesome."
Yeah.
Oh my god! And then the reason that they start hooking up is because they both have a love for Jules Verne. And why wouldn't she be confused when he mentions a book that just came, right? A book.
Why was she
out like 2
confused?
years ago, and he said, "I read it as a kid."
Well, yeah, because he wasn't a kid. It was only
So
published
wouldn't
10
she be,
years
like,
ago.
A little questionable, like, who the frig is this guy?
Right. So, again, like, I don't mean to jump ahead, but like when he says that, right, and then like fast forward a couple days when he's like, "Listen, I'm a time traveler," right? Yeah. Wouldn't she just be like, "Holy shit, he's really a time traveler"? Like,
or
he says
she
he's
be
a
like,
kid.
I know they had books that are about trying time traveling, but wouldn't she be
Right.
like, "What's a time traveler?" Because is that a concept that people like thought about then?
I think
they had books back then because they talk about the future a lot in the movie, and I keep thinking like, do they know what the future is? Like what a future is?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. But she did mention something about like time traveling.
Okay, I think it was in a Jules Verne book. I think that's maybe why it was that reference. But
yeah, she was like, just because I read Jules Verne doesn't mean I believe you. Like you take advantage of me. Yeah.
And then he's like, "Come here, I'm the doc."
Yeah, come on, baby.
I would love that if you talked in like third person. I wish there was another doc from like another year. Maybe what if there was like
Doc Holliday
or 1970, maybe like 1969 doc. We can skip. It doesn't have to be 65. And he's like hippie loving.
Yeah.
Come do the doc some sugar. I don't know. And then Doc has a Rube Goldberg machine. That was pretty cool. I love seeing those in movies. Like in Pee Wee Herman. Like the whole like big breakfast scene.
Yeah.
I forgot what his was. What was it for? To feed
he had egg, bacon, and a toaster maker.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And these machines are like massive. Again, the machine for the ice cubes was massive for one ice cube.
Ice cube. Iced tea? Yeah.
Oh my god. So I mentioned before, like the town loves Mr. Eastwood. They're all over him. So then Marty pulls out the photo. And he sees on the photo, Doc's name disappears off the grave. And then now Doc thinks that it could be Marty. That's like what you were talking about before, Tom. It's kind of like fucked up.
Yeah.
He's like, dude,
he was very presumptuous.
Yeah.
Is that the word? Like he was like, well, now you're dying. Yeah. But like, and he's such a bad person. Once he meets Clara, he just turns into such a bad person.
Well, what does... He didn't want Marty to go back there in the first place because he liked living there. Is that originally
Well, yeah, he was like living his dream, right? He said he was living his dream, so that don't come back. I've always dreamt about this. And then once he met Clara, then it was like solidified, like I am not going back, right? And then Marty was basically like, oh, listen, like you said it yourself, dude. Like,
right.
We're not supposed to meddle in this shit, you know.
Only when it benefits him.
Right.
Yeah.
Only
then
exactly.
it's okay.
And honestly, he could live this life in 55 or 85. He can live on a farm somewhere. He doesn't have to do it in 1885.
Yeah, Jamie, and you're completely right. It's only when it benefits him, right?
Yeah.
Because he opened the letter in the first one, right?
Yep.
And put a bulletproof vest on. The second one, I don't know if there was anything really in the second one that he did. But then the third one, he's just like, yeah, I'm staying here with Clara. And then doesn't want to tell Marty that he gets into an accident, that he's supposed to get into an accident.
Yeah.
See, that pissed me off.
I can't tell you.
Why wouldn't he tell him that? Like,
Exactly.
Marty's put his neck on the line constantly for him. You can't tell him this one thing. Like, you can't save him. Marty,
Exactly.
Yeah, Marty almost got killed by terrorists in the first movie. A 17-year-old kid almost got nuked, and he had shot up with Uzis in a movie.
Yeah.
See,
you know what? Doc Brown is the villain. Maybe Buford is not the villain.
I don't know if Doc is a villain. I think that he's just simping really hard. He's either simping or he's being a soy boy, like one of those.
Well, he is. He's definitely simping, but listen, didn't he give Buford a faulty weapon? or something? Like, then why was Buford looking for money from him? Or he gave him something.
Was it
that
over
didn't
a
work?
gun? I thought it was over.
But it was something that didn't work. So the Doc Brown says, "Well, you didn't pay me anyway."
Yeah.
But listen, if you give someone a product, that should work. I really think that Doc Brown is the villain, and Buford was really the good guy.
He was just misunderstood. Yeah.
You misunderstood.
Jason Voorhees was just trying, he was just misunderstood. He just wanted somebody to talk to, but
exactly.
They were
just wanted to hug. He just wanted to hug.
So now Doc's convinced by Marty to go back to the future, and then he even says like, "I've changed my mind. I'm staying." Because remember there was like that scene. He was like kind of like into it, and then he's just like, "I'm staying."
Right.
Without even like. After they just had a conversation about everything they were going to do. And then he does it again later. But at that point, he's like, I'm staying. And then he's basically like, just go back yourself. I'll stay here.
So how long did he know Clara for?
A day?
Not even, right?
2 days.
So he's known Marty his whole life. He's willing to like leave Marty. Hey, go ahead. I know this woman for a couple hours.
And how did he only know her for a couple hours? This is a very small town. He's been living there for 8 months. There's probably only one. There's 3 women. How many kids are there? 2? There's like 2 or 3 kids in the whole town. She's probably the only teacher, and he doesn't know her? Come on.
What did it tell you? And what did it tell you about the other guys that he's the pick of the litter? 3 women, and she's the 4th woman, and she picks him.
Well, 90% of them are 90% of them are getting drunk in the bar, The who's it, what's it, that guy.
And that's what they have. We learned about his drinking, and that was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
But that was kind of a funny scene, which we'll get to that because I kind of like that. But so then this is so confused when like Tom was talking about. He goes to her and he goes like, "I'm gonna go break up with her." Because he says he's staying, and then like a scene later, he goes, "I'm gonna go tell her." He goes to her, he says, "I'm from the future," and she slaps him. And right after that, he goes out. Then they all go to the bar. So we're thinking about like what's going on in this, and I think it was 4th of July, right? Oh, the bartender said 4th of July.
Right.
So it's 4th of July. He gets shot on. Was it the 5th or the 8th? I forgot.
I want to say it was the 5th.
Yeah, so
I don't remember.
Right then and there, and the day before. Oh yeah, it is the 5th. So the day before, they're supposed to like have this big plan. They're supposed to use a train to propel a car that's a time machine. And the day before, what do they think? Should we plan more? Should we make sure we have fail safe? No. How about this? How about we go shit face at a bar?
Well, he was so saddened. Doc was so saddened because he was simping so hard,
Well, you know what? I mean, he really liked her. Why didn't he go and bring her to the barn and then tell her there, I'm from the future, and show her the car?
That's my whole thing.
He left it like that. And if, again, kind of douchey because she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to say this in the beginning, right? But this is the worst movie of the 3. It
Without
is.
a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
The second one is better. And I'm going on record. I'm going on record and saying the second one is probably my favorite movie. But
I think so too.
Yeah.
Second one's the best.
That being said, why didn't he already put himself out on the line and said that he was a time traveler? Why wouldn't this guy just bring her? Yeah. At that point now it's like, all right, you already like ruined the whole shtick. Just bring her back. And he's like, no, I can't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Well, he can later on when he wants to.
Exactly.
Again, when it benefits him.
When it benefits him.
Yeah.
It'd been a really funny scene if Doc was like, I've never told a girl that I'm from the future. Can we role play this? And I'm not saying Marty puts on a dress or something, but he like is going through or talking in the mirror. Like I love those scenes when people are talking to themselves, but just that whole conversation, because it's kind of bizarre to have to sell somebody that, but at least show them everything. Like you said. Yeah. Because if not, it's just like you're just trying to break up, I mean,
he had to know that she's not going to believe him.
Yeah.
So what was the point of even telling him? And back to the plan, just real quick, back to the plan. I forgot about that until the end, but their plan was to go on that train track that had a broken train track, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they were assuming it was going to get to the point where, and the risk was, if it works, it works. If not, we're just going to fall off the cliff and die.
Oh, wait. So why did they choose that track? The other one was 2 round or something?
Because it was a straightaway. They said it was a straightaway. And according to Doc's calculations, they would make it.
Just in time, Marty.
But if they didn't make it, they're going to die. They're going to die.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And
he didn't say that, but
and you're gambling that a train from 1885 can go that fast.
well, he put his special logs in there.
That is true. He put those logs that when you put it into they bring color out. Those special logs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Special logs. So then, like, they all go drinking, and Doc doesn't. We find out he doesn't drink. He's just talking the whole time, and we have like I can't even do that guy's voice, but the deputy dog guy, the way his voice is, and he's like, "He hasn't drunk a thing."
Yeah.
But, so Marty wakes up in the
that was one of your worst, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But no, Marty wakes up in the desert, hungover, and Marty and Doc and those guys are still in the bar, and Doc's been staring at the same shot for
8 hours, presumably 8 hours.
Yeah, doing nothing, just looking at it.
Exactly.
Nothing at all.
Exactly.
And then for some reason, Marty knows him pretty well, right? In 85.
Doc?
And they've got all these. Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
So he should probably know maybe he's not a drinker, because I know the alcohol is different in 85, but he like, why don't you take the shot, Doc? Just do it. Just do it. And he just like takes it and passes out.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, right? Like, you figured, what's the benefit of hanging out with someone who's over the age of 21? Getting free alcohol. What else was Doc giving him?
And considering the way it affects them, I mean, that's not normal. So you would think that's something he would know about.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have been the first time. Yeah. By the way, Doug, when you just said that, you sounded like Marty. That was a good impression.
Oh, thank you.
You made up for it.
How about Waco juice? I never knew that was a hangover cure, but not even a hangover cure. It makes him like almost turn in zombie-ish, because he gets up for a second and then passes back out, and the guy's like, "Oh, it's going to be another few minutes." But it was like every pepper in the bar, hot sauce. Which did they bottle hot sauce in 85? I don't know.
I don't know
too much about 85.
It was short. It was short of steam coming out of his ears. Like, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, dude, that was like just Jesus Christ.
However, though, if they really had something like that, how great would that be?
Oh, I would love that. That would have been amazing to have that. And you have to use a clothespin. That was the most important thing, because he couldn't smell it. The guy that was passed out, and they put like a metal funnel down his throat to make sure that he had it. And then Clara is getting on the train. She's getting out of town. So that train normally goes to San Francisco, because that's where she said, "What's at the end of the line?" And she said San Francisco. So then
she was just leaving because of Doc Brown?
Yeah. What was she going to do?
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, I never thought of that. Why was she leaving?
Yeah.
That was just so, like, was he really that much of a stud that, like, she just couldn't handle life anymore? She knew him for a day. So how much of a loser is she? Also.
Oh, dude, she's more of a loser. They're both very.
They really are.
They were perfect for each other, honestly. I mean, like.
And then Seamus McFly shows up, and he throws out the line, "I'm here today because I feel like my future depends on it."
Yeah.
Why? I get. Obviously, because he's back in time, Marty, and everything gets affected, but
no.
It doesn't affect him.
It doesn't affect him at all in the least bit.
He should say, "I feel like my ancestors' life depends on it." Maybe something like that. But his life had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing.
Because he could have got gunned down. He'd still be hooking up with what is Lorraine Danes.
Exactly. Even if Seamus died, nothing would happen to Marty either. Like,
well, he wouldn't be born.
Oh, the grandpa was born already.
The grandpa was still born.
Oh,
William.
You're right.
Oh, so he should have got shot. See, that would have been good. Because then maybe we would have been like, "Oh my God, he sacrificed." Oh, dude, that would have been good.
Yeah.
Bob Gale, man, you're losing cred, man. Hollywood legend. We're tearing you up right now. So then Biff shows up just in time for the face-off. And I was hoping for like a little bit more whenever they get to these scenes, even a comedy. But I don't know. I just wanted something like huge, because not saying this movie is disappointing when you compare it, like what we do is we talk about sequels, of course. You compare it to the other movies when you had another sequel that was already out that just crushed it. Like you said, Tom, the second one's the best. Jaws 18, you can't beat that. Everything about the second one's so great because it covers the 2 time periods. The first one's 55.
Right. I say that all the time. I say it to everybody. It's the future, the past, the present, the weird present.
Yeah.
You know, I love it. It's the best.
Well, the weird present is what makes it. I mean, the fact that they like here is just, this makes no sense the way everything is going. I think that's why they should have stopped it after 2. To be honest with you.
You can't stop it after. You have to destroy it.
Oh, you got to destroy the legacy?
No, just no.
Yeah.
No, again, we talked about this before. What could you have chosen? They had to go back in time.
You don't have to.
What other era?
They already went back in time.
No, I mean, like, that's what I mean. Like, for the third film, they had to choose an era. Where else they couldn't go?
Why do they need this movie? Like, what was the point of this movie? Like, did they have to have this movie? They didn't. There was nothing from second one that they needed to, like, have a conclusion.
Well, they had to, and they had to get rid of time travel.
No, but they don't, because he comes in a train.
Oh, that is true.
So, I mean, they don't get rid of time travel. So, like, they really didn't need this movie. Like, this movie, it wasn't like it was tying up loose ends in the second movie.
Yeah.
It made, honestly, the only reason that it made the second movie better, I think, right? Because it ended the second movie in such a place where you're just like, holy shit, like that was awesome. And then it starts the third movie in a great place, but it's not. Listen,
like I wonder if they had other ideas when they ended the second one with that like cliffhanger, and I wonder if they had other ideas and they're like, it didn't work out, so they were like, let's just do this. Like, I wonder if they thought something better, and then they settled on this idea.
Yeah, I just don't know what other era they could have gone to, I guess. You gotta think our history of the United States doesn't have a very best
the 20s.
30 years, the 20s is the depression. I guess the Roaring 20s they could have.
Oh, they could have went all the way down to like BC and see the first McFly caveman.
That would have been good. See, that would have been cool if they did a little montage like that.
Right.
Like they did in trying to think what movie they did. Or cartoon. They did like they went into not Rick and Morty, but one of those. They went into like different things, getting chased by like dinosaurs. That would have been a really funny thing just to see them go through different times.
Right.
Yeah. Like a grunting.
Doc invents the wheel or something, just something stupid like,
Exactly.
So you're pitching History of the World Part 1.
I am. Well, the guy from Blazing Saddles in this, so you had the idea.
That is true. Stand up philosopher. But so Biff needs help counting because he's right. He says like we're gonna start in like 5. He's like, what comes up next? Yeah. And that'd been great if it was Billy Zane telling him what to say. But then again, Marty finally doesn't give in. What changed? Yellow doesn't affect him anymore.
Well, didn't he have a talk? Oh no, because he had a talk with Seamus.
Oh yeah, Seamus says, you don't have to do it.
Yeah,
right. But he kind of does give in, though.
He does kind of, yeah.
Right? He still does.
Well, he didn't have a choice because he was stuck. Remember, he went. Didn't at the bar. Didn't he go? Is there a back door here? And the bartender goes, "Yeah, in the back."
It's in the back.
Oh, that was good. I like that.
Yeah.
No, he was hiding there, but Biff got there, or whatever. Buford got there, and he had no choice but to go out there.
Yeah,
so I don't think he gave in.
And then that's when Doc gets captive.
Right.
And then it's funny. Right from there, they cut to Marty in another building looking out the window, and then Doc is held at gunpoint. Yeah. And you're like, you know what? You should give it right back because that old guy didn't give a shit about you, really.
Right.
But Marty's a good guy. He's a good guy. And then how did they even disappear from there? How did he get free?
Well, he beat up.
Well, he comes out. Yeah, he comes out.
He had the metal plate in his chest.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he took the shot.
Yeah.
Which was a callback to the second movie. Did you know that? When Biff
punches him, right? Doesn't he punch him?
No, he's in the hot tub with the 2 chicks, remember? And he's watching the Eastwood movie. And the movie, he has a metal plate under his poncho. And that's where he gets the idea to put the metal plate.
I believe, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
It was it?
I don't know. I'm just saying that because our podcast.
Wait, so he saw that in a Clint Eastwood movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Dude, that's awesome. So that's, hey, Bob Gale, 1 point back.
So that's the first thing that made sense this whole movie.
Yeah,
Exactly. Definitely.
So then right from there, they get right onto the train, right? They don't. How do they know how to horseback ride so good? They're so good at it that they're able to jump off horses onto the back of the train, climb on top of the train.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? This is where I have a little problem. So you have Marty, who's a young, in shape kind of guy. You're going to have the old man scientist do the climbing to get into the car. Like, wouldn't it have been safer and smarter to have Marty on the train and then Doc in the car?
Doc has 8 months experience. He didn't practice.
He does, but
And he went to that rejuvenation center. So,
yeah, but listen, if Marty had his skateboard with him, he goes on a train, he could have done it in 2 seconds.
True.
I'm just saying.
Well, the skateboard is coming soon. He didn't have it with him for some reason. It was, he should have had that the whole time. Then that would have blown people's minds.
Yeah, well, then they would have been like freaked out,
Yeah. No, not like Mary Sheeran really thinking time travel is just like, oh, you're to put on. But if you would have like
just look at this. Yeah.
This is from the future. Come on, I'm doing ollies.
Yeah.
So then Clara, she somehow comes out of nowhere.
By luck of by pure chance, the guy with the barbed wire is sitting behind her on the train and is like, "Oh, you know that guy?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh my God." And then she pulls the one rope.
Yes, and
on
it
the
buys
train.
them like 10 more minutes, right? Or something like that. So that
No,
helps them out.
I
That's
guess
the same train.
Do you think they had that back then?
Yeah.
Do you think they had the emergency stop back then?
There's no way.
There's no way,
There's
right?
no
They
way.
have on trains now. Like, there's no way they had it back then.
Not like that though, right? Like if you push a
Not even
button, it
close.
doesn't stop the train like that.
No,
Yeah.
it just signals the guy to stop the train. Doesn't mean that
Exactly.
they stop it. It's not like they're like in the
Exactly.
middle of nowhere, freezing weather. They're like, somebody pulled it, Frank.
Yeah. It's directly connected to the brakes on the train. That
No,
one
but I
thin
think
rope.
that's the same train because remember they were delayed because everything happened. That happened like I think
I think
at
you're right.
the very same time that Doc was being held up.
Right.
Because then she leaves, she goes back to town and then goes to the barn. It's not there. And then she sees the little like play set they made. Well,
Right.
Play set, but like a model they made to practice everything.
Right.
That would be a
She's
good
like,
scene.
time machine.
And was there anyone else on the train besides those three? The two guys and her?
I don't know.
So they're basically like no one on a train, but they sit right next to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, she catches up so fast because when she's on the horse, comes over the hill, that thing is pretty far away. And this train's supposed to go, it's supposed to hit 88 miles an hour.
Right.
And she catches up to it pretty quick.
Exactly.
And this is a woman that almost went off the cliff riding a horse before, but somehow she became a stunt woman and was able to, ride a little better.
Yeah, her horses didn't like her before. Why now? Why now? Why would they like her now? But dude, this is like unbelievable, this whole part, because they're like, so they're climbing they set up the car, they're going with it. Doc has his special little logs. Marty's in there. So I love that when Mary Steenburgen somehow gets on it, she's climbing, and every time she's screaming, Emmett, like I think the whistle goes for some reason, or the engine like cranks up. Oh, the engine cranks up because of the logs.
Well, he keeps looking back also, and she's like, that's when she goes against the train, so he can't see her. And what she did was pretty incredible. I mean, jumping on there, climbing around, and then the easiest part to go to the front of it, she goes, I can't do it, I'm afraid. She just did the most insane stuff to get on the train, but the easiest part she couldn't do.
Yeah, you know what? That made no sense at all. And I love that the fact, I don't know, did he mention what was in the logs? Because every time the logs got caught, the whole train was shake because it almost killed her the one time.
And why couldn't they put those logs in the DeLorean and just use like, I don't know. Why couldn't they just fix the DeLorean? They needed a train to push it.
What was he using those logs for in the first place?
I don't know.
Like, why do you even have them?
I don't know.
You know what? We'll get into it, but how long? Oh, I guess it is a while after. Okay, we'll get into it later. Now it clicked in my head. I think I know you. I think you understand what I'm thinking right now. But yeah, so he uses the hoverboard in order to like save Doc.
Right.
And then So Marty's the only one that goes, right? At that point, Marty's gone.
Correct.
And
he throws the hoverboard. Doc is going 80, presumably 90 to 100 miles an hour on a hoverboard.
And it goes perfectly right to him. And then he's able to slide his foot right into it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Slips right in.
Now, I'm assuming he's never used it before, yet he's able to balance him and carrying someone else.
Right. Well, I mean, he's been in the Wild West for 8 months, so
That's true. Yeah.
learn a lot.
He has the hoverboard instructional manual from 2015, just studying the whole time.
Yeah.
So then we're in present day, okay? And the ravine is named Clint Eastwood Ravine. I like that. Now that we kind of all right, that makes sense. So then Marty's on the tracks, and it stops. Everything stops. And then I did like that because you got to close out the movie. You couldn't it's like in a horror movie. Another one's going to happen when you see the killer twitch or something. Right. So it was cool seeing him having to get out, and it was blown to smithereens. But again, and then Jennifer's still sleeping. Elizabeth Shue sleeps a lot in these movies.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot that she was in the second movie because I guess they replaced her. I totally forgot about that.
Which I Googled that. I didn't know, but the original actress' mom had cancer and she quit.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I always wanted to know, I'm Elizabeth Shue at that time was hot because, she was hot.
I hated her in these movies.
Oh, really? Oh, well, the other Jennifer's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her.
I was just getting Karate Kid, Adventures in Babysitting.
Great movie.
All at that point, and she was huge, so that's why it was probably easy.
Yeah.
But you are right, though. She's always sleeping. His girlfriend's always sleeping.
And the Academy Award for Best Sleeper in a Comedy Movie, Elizabeth Shue. I always said that'd be great in those soap operas, the Best Coma. There's people in comas for 4 years of acting.
Do you think when in a train hitting the car like that, though, cars will just completely fall apart like that, like a Legos?
So. I would think so.
I don't know about that.
Especially that car, because it was probably piecemeal. I know it was a DeLorean, but those weren't built too well. That guy was a big coke.
The car went through so many different things, and you're gonna tell me it's gonna fall apart like Legos?
Never hit a train.
Apparently, DeLoreans, the stainless steel is not too secure. Remember in the first one or the second one, and he was like, oh, he's in a Ford, whatever. He'll rip us open like a can.
Oh yeah.
But you're also talking about a train that's in town. It's not like it's going 90 miles an hour. It's a town train. I just can't imagine it breaking what
are the two kinds of trains? So there's a town train, city
bullet train,
like
a bullet train. Isn't there a bullet train? Night train?
Train expert?
I am.
Oh, we forgot to mention this, but so Biff again got shit on him, but it was the greenest shit ever in the world. It was green, nuggets that fell over him.
Does it always land in his mouth?
Always.
Always.
And then he's and then he has that manure.
Yeah. Say that. So then Marty spoils it to Jennifer, because remember for a second Jennifer thought it was all a dream, going to 2015, and then Marty spoils it because why would he say that out loud? He's like, "This is where we live one day." I mean, so it wasn't a dream.
Yeah.
And I love that Needles was in this. That was pretty cool. I know, obviously, second and third one filmed at the same time, but that was pretty cool that they had him in that scene. And how about that, dude?
Flea.
Yeah. How about that Marty would have died if he still gave in to being called a chicken?
I don't know if he would have died, but he would have gotten into a really bad accident. That's why he can't play guitar in the second one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So then why wouldn't Doc tell him, just don't, be honest with me. Listen, Marty, did someone guy's going to challenge you? Don't do it. Why was he holding that against him?
I guess he really wanted to make Marty a better person. From the depths of Marty's soul, he didn't want to have any outside influence. I don't know.
So then I love that Biff.
Bitch,
Tom's favorite Biff. He's the same way. Jeffrey Weissman is, he gets, but you know what I don't like about it? Because they did do a lot of shots. So when I interviewed him and he was talking about at first, they were like, hey, you're just going to come in just for shoots. He really thought he was just going to be a stand-in because something was going on at Crispin. Him and Crispin were actually friends, which is kind of
really wow.
So if you look, he sent me a lot. If you look at his IMDb, or you can Google it. They did reshoot a lot of the scenes. The punch scene back in 55, they already did it with makeup.
Oh.
So I don't know if they use it, but it's weird that they have his voice because he sounds like him when he does it, but they have him like in the back, like out of focus.
Yep.
I'm like,
yeah, at the door.
Get it?
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, just give the guy a shot. Because they should have really put him in the past as a Western. That'd been cool if he was just like,
he should have been Maggie's husband.
100%.
100%.
Yeah, that would have been
If you're going down that road of incest anyway, you might as well throw him in there.
Exactly.
At least not have people that are father and mother and son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. So then this is where it all goes to hell. So his kids, how old are Doc's kids
now?
now?
The last 5 minutes is when it all goes to hell?
because I didn't like this part because
it's the worst part of the movie.
Oh, it's horrible.
No, because the thing that blew my mind, because I think he even mentions that time travel should be done, right? Doesn't he say destroy the time machine?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
What does he do? He builds an even bigger time machine.
Faster, better.
Well, I think he didn't want Marty to have his own machine. He wanted to one up him. He wanted to make sure that Marty cannot get past Doc. So he's like, yeah, don't time travel's bad. Don't make anything. And then, that's why he's the only one with it.
Because it was okay for him.
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah.
God, that's selfish Doc Brown.
See?
More like Dick Brown.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, dude. No, but anyway, how old do you think the kids were?
Probably like 8 and 4.
So he did that.
Or 8 and 7.
In 1885, with no scientific equipment, no computers, no nothing, he was able to build a train that flies.
No. He builds a time machine.
Yeah.
And goes to the future to get the flying upgrade, and then comes back.
Does he say that?
I think he says that.
Really?
In my brain, maybe I just like put the pieces together as a kid.
I don't know.
You're like, this is the only way it makes sense because there's no way. I thought he did that. He's like, honey, I'm gonna go to the future real quick. I gotta get some stuff because the time machine I just built to go to the future, not cutting it.
Not good enough.
Train.
Not good enough. But what about?
Yeah.
Go.
No. What I was gonna say is, so it's a train time machine. Yeah. Why does it come down the freaking tracks? But when he leaves, it flies in the air.
Just to make a scene, probably
to make an entrance.
Yeah, because otherwise, the arm and the bells wouldn't go off because it knew it was coming, right? Yeah, they needed to.
Did he say where he's going?
I think he did, but I don't remember where. Yeah,
because he said, Doc, where are you going? And I forgot what he said.
I think he said the future.
Like that Jennifer kept the "you're fired" paper from the fax machine.
Right.
It faded away after he didn't erase Flea. And then she's like, what does this mean? This paper said you're fired, and it changed. And I did like the line. I forgot what he said before it, but he said, your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is at the end of the movie. And so we'll start with our guests. So we obviously we just talked about this for a while.
Yeah.
But what would is there anything you would have done different?
Oh man. Yeah, like I said, I probably half the stuff I said, right? Like I wish Crispin Glover was in these movies.
Yeah, no, I know.
I think they would have changed the movies up, right? That I wouldn't have had the little kids at the end. I don't like
that was weird.
Vern specifically. Do you remember? Did you see at the end where he like points to a part on his body? No. Rewatch it. The little kid's creepy. I don't know what he was.
Who points to it? Doc goes here.
No. Vern, the smallest kid, right?
He points to his.
He goes, and then points to his dick, basically.
He's learning from his dad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Selfish.
I didn't even know that they had names. He said Vern?
Jules and Vern.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I love these movies, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and like the bad parts are good still to me. And no, I don't know. I don't think I would change them. I don't think I would change them at all.
Jamie?
You know, I don't remember the first. I mean, I remember the first one a lot. Second one, I don't remember as much. I haven't seen these movies in a long time, but I have seen them all. I feel like this movie really doesn't make sense with the other two. I think the other two are perfect together. I think this one is just a throw-in. Maybe I just don't like the timeline. I think, like I said, I think maybe if you went all the way back to BC or something like that, or something to start. I don't know. I don't know. You know, it is the weakest one of the three. I think it's a must-see if you've never seen it and you've seen the other two, you have to see it. They don't make movies like this anymore. You know, they don't make trilogies like this, comedies like this. Listen, Michael J. Fox was awesome back then. So it's definitely worth watching. You know, it's entertaining, but I would say it's the weakest one. I don't know what, to me, the only thing I would change is not make it.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it fits in the mold of the other two. And I think it just again makes no sense. There's nothing from the second one that needed some kind of conclusion to make this movie. You know, like if they didn't make this movie, the other one is fine. Like they didn't need that last scene in the second movie. I think the way the future changed his family, that was the end right there. And you could have ended up the movie as just two movies.
You know, it would be really interesting. So I obviously, you know, you gotta watch this movie because the trilogy, I think it's one of the best trilogies of films, like standalone trilogy, and hopefully they never touch it. But so I wonder what, I know we were like kind of like joking around shitting on Bob Gale. I was shitting on Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, but I wonder what they have to be somewhere. I'm sure they had 2 and 3 written before the whole thing would happen with Kristen Glover. So I wonder what George would have done in those other movies. Because obviously he would have probably still hung upside down in the future. That might have been the same, but having that character just sucked that they had to like, I don't think they had to shelf it, but they had to maybe for the fans so they would be like, hey, that guy's different. Because I bet you a lot of people didn't even realize.
But they did it with Jennifer.
I don't think that would have changed much. I just wonder if this was the original plan. When they ended the second one, was this like the original plan? Like, was this whole storyline of the Old West and everything, was that the original plan? That's what I would wonder.
Yeah, we talked about it a bunch. Where else could they have gone, you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I just think for such a great series, I feel like this one is just so different than the other two. And I think, I don't know, a better script, a better, you know, all around the story, I think would have fit better. I mean, again, you throw in a stupid train in there, you know, a lot of things just didn't make sense. You know, his parents, you know,
that was kind of weird. Yeah.
Everything, you know, like I feel like a lot of this was just like thrown together to end, you know, to make the trilogy without really thinking about what's the best scenario.
It's the least cohesive.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Like, why do they have to go back in time to 1500 Japan? What else?
I don't know if I would compare this.
Oh, I know that.
You know, but I think this movie was more rushed, where you know, where there really wasn't a lot of thought to it. And I think if they just took their time and not, you know, because they made it back to back, right? Second and third back to back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if they took their time and just made a second one and then, you know, made a third one a few years later, it would have been a 10 times better movie.
All right. So that was Back to the Future Part 3. Tom, thanks for joining us for our 100th episode.
Thank you for having me, man.
Our awesome. Next week, thanks. We start off the next 100 with a bang. I think she is one of the best final girls in horror history. And that, of course, is Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare 4 and 5. Dude, she's amazing in those films. And then she's also she plays Missy in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the TV show, which it only lasted 1 year, shockingly. But she was amazing. And our review, we chose, obviously, of those two films, we chose Nightmare Part 4, directed by Rennie Harlan, Dream Master. We have a guest, which is so cool. Her name's Amy Cotto. She's a TV blogger, great to follow on Twitter. So make sure you check that out. and an author. Yeah, she has a book too, which is pretty cool, man. So we had her come on, and it's going to be great. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.